Hey guys, how is it all going? So, thank you so much for joining me for what is my Wes Craven New Nightmare movie review. And I was curious about how I would feel about New Nightmare because, as I've said before, and I think I have said this before in a previous video, when I first watched this movie, it was a long time ago. I must have been about maybe 14, 15 years old. And it was around the time that New Nightmare came out. And I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't particularly enjoy it. And it was because of the matter aspect of it. Because it was so far detached from what all the other Elm Street movies were. I didn't feel it. It didn't really do anything for me. And that was one of the reasons why I was never really a fan of New Nightmare. I never really went back to it, was because of that. Because of the plot of the movie is it's supposedly set in the real world. It's a horror movie within a horror movie. And the characters from the first movie are played by the people that were the actors and actresses in that movie. They playing themselves. So it was a massive departure from like anything I'd ever seen before. I don't think there was ever really anything like plot wise much like that back then. Or I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So, like I said, I would be curious to see where I would fall now with rewatching it. And I'm happy to say that I actually do think this is a good movie. Now, I know this film is beloved amongst Elm Street fans. It's probably one of their favourite Elm Street movies. Now, for my own personal taste, I wouldn't go that far. I do think it's a good movie. It's a well-written movie. It's a well-directed movie. And it's well acted as well. I will say that. And actually, the little kid in it, kids can be annoying in movies. Let's not dance around this issue. They can be really annoying. I think the kid in this movie actually did a really good job. Really good job. So we have that as well. I don't love this movie though, and I don't think it's great. And one of the reasons why is I still feel a little bit of the same way as what I did when I first watched it. It's the meta aspect of it. I could have done without that with my Nightmare on Elm Street movie. But I will dive into that a little bit later. But like I say, I'll start off with the positives as I've just touched on there before. I think this is an extremely well written and well directed movie. Everyone does a good job. But I will highlight one thing in this. I love the look of Freddy Krueger in this movie. And thank God he has gone back to being dark and intimidating and terrifying. I have missed you, Freddy. Missed you. Thank you so much, Wes Craven. Thank you so much for bringing that element of Freddy back. Because my God, could I not stand Freddy in part 5, part 6? He was slightly getting a little bit unbearable in part 4. But the last two before this, oh, that's not the Freddy Krueger I like and love. But thank you, New Nightmare, for making him scary again, because you do not want to bump into this version of Freddy Krueger at all. And I love the look of him. And I love, he looks different enough, but you still know that's Freddy, 100%. And I like the inclusion of the jacket. I think he looks cool as fuck. I love it. And I'd love to get, a doll of Freddy Krueger New Nightmare, and I'd have him right there. I think he looks great, but my favourite look will always be Elm Street Part 2 Freddy. I just think that was just the best look for him and the scariest. But I think Freddy Krueger looks great in this. And also, as I've touched on before, guys, the acting is really good. And I respect the choice Wes Craven made for this. I respect the different approach that he took. And like I say, there's a lot of people that love this movie. So he made the right choice, ultimately. I do think, I want to implore this, I do think this is good. Trust me, I do. I've been watching these pretty much back to back, and I had to suffer between 5 and 6. So this was lovely to watch after Freddy's dead. Trust me, lovely. But like I said, I wish Wes Craven would have took, just for my own personal taste, would have took a different approach and carried on with the Elm Street series. But I believe what happened was, like, he watched, like, after part 3, I think he watched 4, 5 and 6 and went, I really don't know what to do with this because, let's be honest with you, it was such a mess by then. So we came up with this idea, which ultimately worked. But what I would have liked to have seen was scrap Elm Street 4, 5 and 6. Scrap that. It didn't happen. I mean, that's popular to do with horror movies nowadays, but probably not back in, the early 90s maybe. Scrap them, and I would have loved to have seen Wes Craven tackle a story following on from Dream Warriors. I would have loved to have seen something like that, because I think there was an idea floating around. I don't know whether it was like kind of around part 5 script or part 6, or it could have been part 4, I'm not too sure. But where they did focus, like there was like a group called like, the Team Warriors that would like kind of go in to like kind of fucking mess with Freddy or something because he wasn't that powerful yet, stuff like that. I would have loved to have seen that kind of element really followed on from part 3, instead of just what we got with part 4 was just like kill off the ones we got off straight away and just start fresh with a whole new bunch of characters. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going back into that. But I would have liked to have seen something like that instead of what we've got. But ultimately, it is a good movie. I enjoyed it. And I will say this. I think if I didn't watch like part 4, part 5, part 6 kind of recently and then jumped into New Nightmare, I would still enjoy it. I would still think it was good and respect the movie for the choices that it made. But I probably wouldn't have scored it as high as I'm going to do now. But because I have recently just watched them pieces of shit pretty much back to back and watched this, it's going to get a little bit more of a higher score as a kind of like a thank you. Thank you for not being as bad as them. So my score for Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I will give it, because it is a good movie, and like I say, it's well written, it's well directed, and I do respect the choices it made, and I appreciate that this is a huge favourite from the Elm Street fan community, and I completely understand why. But it's not an Elm Street movie I would jump back into and rewatch. But like I say, I do respect the movie. So I'm going to give Wes Craven's New Nightmare a 3.5 out of 5. So guys, do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Do you love New Nightmare? But you are the same as me with it. Whatever it is, guys, just leave a comment below. It is absolutely always a pleasure hearing from you. And as always, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you again real soon. Take care, guys. Goodbye now.